Hey, welcome to the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute with your host, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest, Alan Bishop. Hey, this channel is all about home distilling and legal distilling. If you've got questions, reach out to us in the comments below, social media, or via bishopshomegrown@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out thealchemistcabinet.com. Hey guys, just got in from the garden and working around the homestead here, and had a few minutes where I relaxed for the evening. Thought I'd answer a few of your questions here at the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. Also, if you're unaware, be sure to check out the One Piece at a Time Sacred and Profane podcast over on Spotify. There's a couple episodes up right now for free. We are probably going to make that a subscription service, but don't worry, you'll be able to download the older episodes as they get a little bit older in the future, and I'm really excited about that. I'm actually going to record another one here this evening. I have several of them in the can ready to go. And I'm really enjoying recording those because I don't have to script them out or anything. It's just stuff that I'm interested in the art of distillation, that I can sort of freeform speak to in a lot of ways. So very similar to these videos, but on very specific topics related to, you know, an overarching series of particular topics. So we're going to start today with Dan the Man, who says, "Hello again, and thanks for the great content. I learn something every episode and often get a chuckle or two as well. Good deal, man. I'm glad you enjoy it. I have a few questions about rapid aging slash oak flavoring, or whatever you want to call it. You have covered a lot of this before, so I want to make sure I understand, as well as a few new things. Wood char level is for filtration and related to microesterification, mostly in long-term slash true aging. Do you think it matters in short-term, hours slash days, rapid aging use? Is it correct to say toast for flavor, char for smoothness? Is color a good proxy for the level of rapid aging achieved? It's what I look for. Are there flavors that appear independent of color that can be attained in a rapid aging scenario? If it were a little less rapid, if that makes sense. For what it's worth, there's a video on YouTube about char levels, and I was mystified by the results where the most charred sample was the lightest in color. It now makes more sense if the char is acting as the filter. Might I suggest a simple hashtag like hashtag OPATDI to help find your content? One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute is a lot to type when referring to your content to someone. Thanks again for sharing so much info." Dan, great set of questions as always, man. And yes, I will work on that hashtag. Usually when I'm uploading a video, I'm at work, or I'm pressed for time in some other way, shape, or form, and so they get the lazy descriptor of just being, you know, One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute, or even in the descriptor it just says, you know, thealchemistcabinet.com, whatever. I need to work on that a little harder if I want more people to see the channel and check it out for sure. Absolutely. So that being said, let's get into your questions. So wood char levels for filtration are related to microesterification, mostly in long-term slash true aging. Yes, I believe that is the case with maturation. That has been my experience that I've seen over the years, is that definitely the char is much more so a issue related to filtration, filtering out those things that you might not want in your spirit, and also providing surface area for oxidization, esterification during the aging process. The toast level, on the other hand, is definitely where you are actually, think of it as like baking the sugars into the wood. That's really what that toast level is doing underneath the char. And if you go with a heavy char, what's happening is you're burning up all that toast level underneath that char and burning up all those sugars that have been otherwise set into the barrel by the toasting process, so you're losing a lot of them. Now, do I think 3, 4, 5 chars, do they have uses? Yes, absolutely. I mean, Wild Turkey is you know, made it a huge part of their marketing and a part of their characteristic to have a little bit of almost smokiness from that char level, as well as being able to say alligator char, right? People are very familiar with what that is. So that being said, let's look here. Do you think it matters in the short term, hours or days slash rapid aging use? So as far as char versus toast, yes. So not in terms of hours slash days, but think weeks slash months. You still want toast. You still want toast and char. You're not getting the micro-oxidization, but you can get that, and we'll get there here momentarily. But I certainly think that it does matter. Now, as far as maturing in hours slash days, let's just say extracting, because it's not really maturation. I do think if you're trying to do it in hours slash days, you're missing out on some important flavor components that you can still get by doing the extraction method in the jar, even if it requires a little bit more effort. You're not ever going to mimic a barrel, but you can get some really cool flavors otherwise. Is it correct to say toast for flavor, char for smoothness? I'd say toast for flavor, char for, trying to think of a better word than smoothness, but char for almost a rectification tool, almost a way of cleaning up a distillate, right? Because it's a little, you want a distillate that's going to go on wood, or especially in a barrel, to be a little on the dirty side, so to speak. Is color a good proxy for the level of rapid aging achieved? It's what I look for. I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to say no. Color is important. It's nice to have a beautiful aesthetic to look at, a nice amber bottle or orange bottle or whatever you're going for, right? But, and even if once you get that extraction for color, yes, you probably have some of the wood sugars in there, and so the wood sugars are probably modifying the perceived flavor and aroma of your spirit a little bit. But what I would say is go longer periods of time. What I like to do is something similar to what Jesse at Still It does. I like to preload very heavy with wood up front and let that go for about 2 weeks, right? So whatever amount of wood I think I might instinctually put into a jar, I'll double that and I'll hold it there for 2 weeks, and then I'll pull half of that out, and then I'll let it ride for up to 9 months sometimes longer. I've got some stuff that's been going for over 1.5 years, and it's not over oaked yet. You know, it's a very small amount of oak for the amount of distillate that it is. And then I put that into jars that are purposely exposed to some degree to air by loosening the lid up, so there's a little bit of exchange between the alcohol off-gassing and the air actually coming in, or put a cork in a carboy that can get some air into it. Or the other thing I really like to do is, after I take that first piece of wood off, or the first half of the wood off after the first 2 week period, I have a fish tank aquarium pump, right? And I put a copper hose on it, a piece of annealed copper, and I use that to bubble air across the wood and into the liquid. Now we're forcing a little bit of oxygenation. Are you going to get the exact same thing as a barrel? No. But what you will get is some amount of oxidization. You'll get some small amount of esterification over time, and it does take a very long time. Again, sometimes 6-9 months to get to that point where you're really starting to notice. Your guide, in my opinion, should be the following. You make the white spirit, make tasting notes on it. Make sure that you take very careful notes of what the aroma is, what you're picking up, how much of that olfactory burn you get from the alcohol, etc., right? If there's any tails present there, note that, right? The more details, the better. After 2 weeks, after you load it up heavy with oak, come back to it, taste it again, write your notes over again, compare and contrast. Then, let it ride out. 2 or 3 months, come back to it. Do it again, write it all down. 6 months, write it all down. You'll learn real quick where the pocket is for the environment and the methodology that you're using, basically. And that's worked out better for me than trying to rapid age anything. The other big trick to me is stay away from oak chips. Oak cubes are great, usually. Try to find them from a good, reputable source that has at least 24-month air season stuff out there if you can find it. Stay away from the younger oak stuff for sure. Try to find air-cured 24-month oak if you can, and stay away from oak chips. Cubes, staves, etc., spirals. I've had good luck with all those. Nothing wrong with any of those things, for sure. So let's see. I think that answered your question about color. Are there flavors that appear independent of color that can be attained in a rapid aging scenario if it were a little less rapid, if that makes sense? Yes, absolutely, what we just touched on, right? There's definitely some esterification and some micro-oxidization that can take place, plus deeper wood extraction and more of using the actual oak as a structural element, let's say. So specifically with something like French oak staves that are toasted to various degrees, you get a lot of nice structure from the tannins there that can really increase the mouthfeel and the characteristic of the spirit that you're making. But it certainly takes a little bit of time and a little bit of effort to get there. I wouldn't encourage anybody to try to extract fast, right? If you just want color and a little bit of sugar, add sugar and a little bit of caramel, right? I mean, you get the same effect that way, but certainly more reliable if you just use caramel and sugar to get the color and the flavor out of it. But if you want something that will approximate to some degree some of what a barrel does, you can't cheat time. And trust me, I know I've tried about 1 million different ways to cheat time on maturation. So if you guys have anything like that, though, tune me in, guys, because so far, Bad Motivator barrels on a home scale, that's where it's at. For what it's worth, there's a video on YouTube about char levels, and I was mystified by the results where the most charred sample was allowed some color. It now makes more sense if the char is acting as a filter. Exactly, so that coloration is not necessarily coming from the char, it's coming from the toast as well, which would be why on a very heavy charred barrel, you're not going to get as heavy of a color because you burnt up the toast layer. You carbonized it, right? There's no sugars to be had, or very few sugars to be had, because it's been carbonized. So the color is not going to be as dark as in, you know, a lighter char barrel, a 3 or 2 or a 1, etc. And even in a 53-gallon barrel. So color-wise, to give you an idea, you've pulled about all the color you're going to pull from a barrel. Not all of it, but the vast majority of it. Probably, let's say 85-90% of the color in a 53-gallon barrel. You've pulled that in 6 weeks, but that whiskey's nowhere near mature, right? It still smells and tastes like White Dog. So bear that in mind. And I'll definitely look into the hashtag thing, man. Hey, Dan, as always, great questions. Please keep them coming, man. And for the rest of you, leave your questions in the comments below, or at bishopshomegrown@gmail.com, or reach out to me via any of my social media. And be sure to check out the One Piece at a Time Sacred and Profane podcast on Spotify. And we just launched season 3 of our Paranormal 4TN High Strangeness Cryptid spirituality show. If you have ghosts, you have everything. All right, guys, later.